Now, when it comes to full-size trucks, everybody knows the American manufacturers are the top dogs in the segment. Now, back in 2004, Nissan entered this highly competitive market with the original Nissan Titan. Now, after 12 agonizing years on the market, there's finally an all-new version. Let's take an in-depth look at the fully redesigned 2016 Nissan Titan XD. Back in 2004, the first generation Titan was definitely a huge middle finger to the American manufacturers. I mean, at the time, the only other competitor from Japan was the slightly smaller quarter-ton sized Tundra, where all the other American competitors were the true half-ton size. Now, the first-gen Titan was definitely sized right. It was basically as large as your neighbor's F-150 or Silverado. It came standard with a V8 at the time, and the original body style launch was the full-size crew cab. Now, the Titan went on for a long 12 years without any major changes. Now, in that time, there was a new F-150 launch, there was a new Silverado, there was a new Ram launch, and a new Tundra launch, so Nissan definitely let the Titan get stale. Now, this 2016 Titan XD has definitely been a hugely anticipated model. This is Nissan basically refocusing all their attention back into their heavy-duty truck lineup. And the Titan XD is definitely the first step. Now, if you guys are wondering what the XD stands for, it's kind of like a tweener truck. This is a truck that's slightly bigger than an F-150, but not quite as large as an F-250. So Nissan kind of saw a market for buyers who didn't want all of the size and price of a Super Duty, but wanted a little bit more capability than most of your half-ton trucks on the market. Now, at launch, as I said, the XD will be first. For 2017, there'll be a standard size Titan that Nissan anticipates will be the volume seller in the segment. Now, sales-wise, the Titan has some pretty paltry numbers. Now, last year, for 2015, Nissan sold a rather small 12,000 units annually. Now, in comparison, a Toyota Tundra sold about 120,000 units in 2015, and in 2015, a Ford F-150 sold about 800,000 units. So you can see Nissan has definitely had the smallest chunk of that pie, and the company is looking to definitely take a bigger slice in the coming years with a completely redone Titan lineup. Now you can see this all-new 2016 Titan XD is definitely a very large truck at a glance. This is much larger than an F-150. I anticipate it's about 20 inches longer than most of the short bed crew cab half-ton trucks in this segment. It stretches about 242 inches long. Now at launch, this truck only launches with a crew cab, and you can take your pick between a gas 5.6 V8 or the 5-liter Cummins turbo diesel V8 that's in my particular tester here. Now, you can see the design certainly has a very familiar American truck look to it, actually. I mean, the Titan itself was designed in California, it's built in Mississippi, and the Cummins diesel engine is built in Tennessee. So this is a very American truck. I mean, Nissan's advertising for the vehicle when it first launched was American Titan, as most of the components and the design of this vehicle is built here in the US. Now, the grille is certainly a very imposing one. It has almost like a Ford Super Duty look to it, with the huge grille at the front, with the chrome on my particular SL trims. Now, speaking of the trims, you can take your pick between 5 of them, starting at the base S, SV, Pro, Pro 4X, SL, and then the Platinum Reserve. My particular favorite is actually the Pro 4X. It comes with the off-road goodies, slightly more aggressive tires on smaller 18-inch wheels versus the 20s. Now, coming around the side of the Titan, you can see the 20-inch wheels on my tester look particularly nice. They're wrapped in 265 series rubber with some all-terrain, or with some truck tires, not the all-terrain tires you're going to get on the Pro 4X, of course. Now, you can see the profile of the Titan is huge. I mean, the wheelbase is 151 inches long. That's about 7 inches shorter than a short wheelbase F250. It stretches, as I said, 242 inches long. Again, about 4 inches shorter than an F250 short wheelbase. There's only one bed length on the XD, a 6.5-foot bed. All the heavy-duty trucks are required to have at least a 6-foot bed. There's no option to get an 8-foot bed, unfortunately. But this vehicle is classified by the EPA as a heavy-duty truck, since its gross vehicle weight exceeds 8,500 pounds. I mean, this truck weighs almost 4 tons. It's 7,400 pounds in this particular one that I'm showing you. Now, out back, you can see the bed is definitely a good size. A bed liner does come standard on most trims. My tester has like an LED cargo light in the bed. It's definitely a deep bed. It's definitely very useful. And the taillights, they pretty much have that traditional look to them with all the other trucks. Very nice overall looking profile. I really like the LED daytime running lights that come standard on the SV trims and up. My particular SL comes standard with LED low beam headlights. The high beams are a halogen, but it's definitely a nice premium touch. I particularly like the crystal blue pearl exterior color of my tester. It's a very beautiful looking paint. Combine that with these rather nicely finished silver and machine painted wheels. I mean, you have a pretty handsome truck. Now, some people definitely think the truck, it can look a little ungainly from certain angles. I think the front takes some getting used to, but that's kind of the nature of a truck. It's something that when you see it in your rearview mirror, you're going to kind of just run away, because it really just takes up the entire rearview mirror, and you wouldn't want that thing tailgating you if you're going slow. But enough about the exterior. Let's take a look at the inside and see all the changes for this second generation Titan. Now, first approaching your Titan, you can see it's a completely huge truck, and it basically takes my breath away every time I come up to this vehicle. But my tester does come standard with Nissan's intelligent access key with remote start. So to start the vehicle up, all you have to do is push the lock button, beeps, and then push and hold this button. You can see the Cummins 5-liter turbo diesel V8 fires right up. And approaching the Titan, all you have to do is keep the key fob in your pocket or in your purse, and to lock the vehicle, you push this button, and it doesn't have the sensor on the back, so to unlock it, you also have to touch the button, and that will unlock the door for you. Now, looking at the interior at a glance, it's certainly much improved versus the very dated previous generation Titan. You can see the leather does come standard on this SL trim. You can also get leather on the Pro 4X. The Platinum Reserve trim has its own unique leather, a little bit higher quality. And you can see the step-in of this truck is very high. This is definitely bigger and higher than an F-150, than a Sierra or Silverado that I've shown you guys. So you really appreciate this nice step here, which, by the way, it's rated to hold 300 pounds. There's a nice grab handle here to help you get into the vehicle, and you can see getting inside the Titan, it's definitely an interesting experience. I mean, if you're not used to driving big trucks, this is definitely going to feel like you're piloting a bus. I particularly love the driving position in here. Very nice commanding view of the road. You have these huge mirrors, very wide truck, so you have a lot of space in here, and when you shut the door, the door actually sounds pretty solid, so I'm glad to see that Nissan has definitely made this structure much stronger, and it adds to the feeling of quality. Now, push button start, as I said, so all you have to do is put your foot on the brake and then push the button here to get it out of the remote start mode. And that'll activate all the electronics in here. Now, power tilt telescoping wheel is actually included on my tester, so I like seeing that feature. It's definitely an upscale touch that I like a lot. Now, looking at the rest of this interior at a glance, it looks nice. You can see here there's stitching and soft touch on the upper dashboard. This is included on the higher trims. It is soft touch right here as well, so that's a nice touch. There's some low gloss faux wood grain trim accenting the cab, so it looks okay. It definitely tries to make it look a little more upscale. The Door panels here, unfortunately, are hard touch plastic. This is where I'm going to rest my elbow, so I'm a little bit disappointed. My tester does have the memory seat option. It does have an 8-way power driver seat and a power passenger seat. The window is automatic up-down for only the front windows. I'm surprised Nissan didn't just make it for the back windows as well. The steering wheel is definitely an interesting design. I've seen it before on some other Infiniti products, like the QX80. It has nice bolstering extensions here, nice 9-3 grips. The rim itself is a little bit on the thin side, but that's kind of what you want with a truck. Pretty good amount of buttons here for your Bluetooth, your audio controls, cruise control, features like that. Now, looking at the center stack here, this is probably where I have my biggest complaint with this all-new Titan. The infotainment screen here is basically the same system that I've seen in a Versa or a Sentra. That surprises me because Nissan has a much more premium-looking screen in the Maxima and their newer products, and with the Titan, it's got this huge large dash, and this 7-inch screen is definitely on the small side. Combine that with small buttons here, and you have an interior that already looks dated to me in the dashboard. Now you can see the map quality here is basically Nissan's 3D bird's eye view map display. I've basically seen this display for the last 10 years, so I'm a little disappointed in the map resolution and the infotainment screen that they put in the Titan. It seems like they really just invest all their money in the actual truck capabilities and the engine and forgot about the technology aspect, the infotainment aspect, which is what people are looking for nowadays. Now, you do have Siri Eyes Free, you do have voice text messaging capability, but there's no Android Auto, no Apple CarPlay. Those features are absent for this truck. Now, you can see here the buttons are nicely labeled, but they are pretty small. I imagine most truck buyers, you know, some of you probably wear gloves. These are definitely going to be hard to use, especially the preset buttons here. They're definitely very tiny when you compare it to the huge knobs and buttons that some of its American competitors offer. Now, one thing I do like that Nissan does give you is large volume knobs here for the volume, for the tuning, for the climate control. It does have dual zone automatic. You have your parking sensor button here. You have your trailer brake controller here. You have heated seats. Now, my tester does not have the cooled seat options. It is available on, or it is standard on the Platinum Reserve, available on the Pro 4X if you get a luxury package. You can see you have your shift on the fly, part-time 4-wheel drive system that gives you a 2-wheel drive, 4 high, 4 low. So this is a real truck. The center console here, you can see, is definitely huge. Lots of storage, big cup holders, nicely padded armrest here that's very wide. You can see here lots of storage down here. You can put your purse, you can put a laptop computer in there, and that's basically one of the reasons why these full-size trucks do so well. The interior is incredibly roomy and spacious. Now, when you put the vehicle into reverse, you do have a backup camera. It does not have trajectory. I'm kind of disappointed it doesn't have that. It does have your distance markers. You can see it gives you a line where your tow hook is going to be. You do have front and rear parking sensors. There is a round view 360-degree camera system available on the Pro 4X or the Platinum Reserve. Curiously unavailable on the SL trim. You just get the backup camera. Now, speaking of this transmission selector, you do have a 6-speed automatic transmission developed by Aisin. It's not a CVT for those of you who think that Nissan only goes with a CVT, so I like the fact this transmission is well matched to the engine. You do have a manual shift mode. There's a tow mode. I'm not the biggest fan of this gear selector. It feels incredibly cheap and plasticky. So here I'm kind of nitpicking. I kind of wish they gave us a little bit more sturdier feeling gear selector versus what I'm feeling with this plasticky one. Now, curiously, a sunroof is also not available on this truck. Even the fully loaded Platinum model, I believe, does not offer a sunroof. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I couldn't see it in the options list. So those of you who want a sunroof will definitely be complaining about that. You do have a power sliding rear window there, which is kind of what you expect in the class. Nice feature. Of course, if you need to get access to the bed. But overall, I think the cabin of the Titan certainly has a lot of new aspects to it. I really like the infotainment, or the center gauge disc cluster here with the upgraded display. Nissan basically includes that on the SV trims and up, so I highly recommend going for that if you're going to make this your daily driver. But overall, the center stack design I'm pretty disappointed in. I'd like to see Nissan update this with a larger screen with Android Auto, Apple CarPlay in the coming years. Now, looking at the back seat of the Titan XD, you can see it's a gigantic back seat. It's one of the reasons why a lot of people use these trucks as their work vehicle and their family vehicle. I mean, you can literally pack 5 people in this truck in comfort and put a bunch of crap in the bed if you need to. Now, the step-in, of course, is equally as high, so there's a nice grab handle here to help you get into the back. And you can see here, whew, there is a crap ton of legroom back here. Wow, I'm very impressed. But Shutting the door, it feels nice, has a nice solid thunk. The materials back here are the same hard touch plastic, but it is soft touch right there. Your elbows are gonna rest. You can see there's nice vents back here. There's a household power outlet right there, more cup holders, dual map pockets. There is a nice little armrest that comes down right here with some cup holders, more cup holders, so there's 4 cup holders back here. And overall, I mean, I wouldn't hesitate to sit back here on a long trip. This is incredibly comfortable. And the floor, surprisingly, almost completely flat. A little bit of a hump, but I mean, 3 people across here would be very comfortable because this truck is incredibly wide. Now looking at the bed of the Titan, you can see the tailgate is hydraulically assisted, so the days of slamming the tailgate are no more. Most of the competitors offer that as well. Now you can see the bed is nicely finished. It's very wide, it's very deep. It's a 6.5-foot bed, as I said. That's standard on all the Crew Cab XD models. There's no 8-foot bed available, and there's no shorter 5.5-foot bed available on the XD. You're gonna have to go for the regular Titan, which will be launched late at the end of this year if you guys want that smaller bed. Now you can see my tester, being an SL, has a couple of extras on it. The bed liner is very nice, of course. It's a spray-in bed liner. You have these little slide adjustable cargo tie-down hooks, and then of course you have a lot of LED lighting in the cargo bed. There's LED lighting on the upper portion right there, and there's plenty of LED lighting under here. So at night, it's lit up very well, very useful if you guys have a lot of stuff in here and you can't reach it. Now, one thing I'm gonna complain about is I'm pretty short. As you guys know, I'm 5'7". There's not really any assist here to help you get up. There's no little tailgate step here, like on the F-150. There's no little step here, like on the Silverado. So getting up into the bed can be a little bit challenging, especially if you guys are not very acrobatic. But you can see getting into the bed here, I kind of have to jump myself up, but you can see the bed itself when you are up here. Holy crap, it's really high. Very useful. I definitely use the truck a lot to carry my things when I was moving, so you're gonna pretty much love the fact that this truck gives you all the full-size capabilities, but there is an option for a Titan box, a cargo box system, and a cooler that'll basically put boxes on each side of the bed, which will reduce the capacity, but it gives you nice storage for your drinks or for your tools, however you want to use it. The hood of the whole new Titan XD, it definitely confuses me because the sound is pure Dodge. It's a Cummins 5-liter V8. I mean, this is the same company that Dodge uses in the Ram 2500. So it has that very traditional Cummins sounds. It basically sounds like you're piloting a school bus. But nevertheless, it is a 5-liter Cummins V8 turbo diesel. And the numbers are pretty good. It makes 310 horsepower and 555 pound-feet of torque. I mean, that torque number is what you want in a diesel. Now, in this class, with this being a tweener, it does make significantly more power than the Ram Eco Diesel with its 3-liter V6. That makes like 240 horsepower, 420 pound-feet of torque. But it also makes a lot less than the 6.7-liter turbo diesels in the F-250, Ram 2500, the Silverado 2500. That makes those engines make over almost 800 pound-feet of torque versus this one's 555. Now, the truck weighs almost 4 tons, as I said. It all goes through a 6-speed ASIN automatic. Now, if you guys don't want the diesel, there is a 5.6-liter gasoline V8 available. That's a different review. That makes about 390 horsepower, about 394 pound-feet of torque. So more horsepower, but less torque. And that one is paired with a 7-speed automatic transmission. Now, this truck comes with 4-wheel drive. You can also get 2-wheel drive if you don't want 4-wheel drive. But let's get it on the road and see how it all works, shall we? So even though you guys may have a hard time believing this, even though I'm a huge fan of small, lightweight sports cars, I also know a thing or two about trucks. I mean, before I was doing this full-time, I used to work in internet sales as an internet manager at a Ford dealership. So I was very familiar with the Ford F-150 and the Super Duty trucks. So I have to say, first driving this all-new Titan, it definitely reminds me a lot of a Ford F-Series truck. I mean, the truck itself feels much larger and wider than a half-ton truck, but it kind of has the big bus-like feel of a Super Duty, but there's something about it that feels a little bit smaller. I mean, honestly, Nissan definitely got the tweener size thing right. And it's definitely a very interesting feeling truck, but let's see how it feels out on the road, shall we? surprisingly, you know, this thing weighs almost 4 tons. I'm not gonna stress that enough because it's so freaking heavy. But it gets out of its own way very nicely. I mean, 555 pound-feet of torque is nothing to sneeze at. And this truck definitely moves out with a lot of authority when you have the revs in the right range. Now you can see going around this corner here and then putting your foot down. The diesel engine is very refined, actually. Now, it is definitely noisy by diesel standards. I mean, it's a V8 diesel. There are times where I feel like I'm driving a school bus. But it's a really refined engine. There's very little vibration coming through the steering wheel, through the pedals, through the floorboards. And the truck itself is super, super stiff, super comfortable, super refined, as I said. The steering is definitely very light, very numb. It's a recirculating ball type steering, which is necessary for a vehicle like this because you don't want too much steering feel. I mean, I can literally do this and the truck doesn't really do anything, which is what you want in a vehicle like this. It's totally opposite of what driving enthusiasts go for, but it's what the typical pickup truck buyer expects, and I think Nissan has pretty much nailed the feel of the XD. It feels like a very stiff, very solid, heavy-duty truck. Now, with only 310 horsepower, this 5-liter V8 is lacking in the horsepower department, as you expect with the diesel. It gets up to 60 in about 9.6 seconds, which is on the slow side if you're going to look at the numbers. However, numbers don't always mean everything with these kind of trucks, and it's all about the feel. And between 1800 to about 2800 RPM, this truck feels incredibly fast. It has a lot of low-end torque, and that's what you're going to feel that pushes you back into the seat. It's what you need when you are towing big loads. Now, speaking of big loads, this truck will tow a maximum of 12,300 pounds, which is 1,000 pounds more than the V8 version of the XD. That tops out at about 11,000 pounds. That's about 1,000 pounds more than what you're going to get from an F-150, a Sierra 1500, a Ram 1500, or a Tundra. Now, regarding the Super Duty competitors, they tow between 14,000 to 17,000 pounds. So this does not tow as much as them. However, it is a little bit smaller, it is less expensive, and it has a V8 that puts out less power. Now, going around, you know, back roads is not something I particularly enjoy doing with trucks. The Titan XD certainly doesn't make it any more enjoyable. The steering doesn't offer really much feedback. The ride, however, is very nice. I've got the bed unloaded right now, but I did load it up with a bunch of crap and basically max out the loading, the payload, which, by the way, the payload of this one, the XD, is about 2,000 pounds. The gas model is about 2,500 pounds, just because it's 700 pounds lighter if you guys go for the gas model. So, I mean, around corners back here, you definitely feel the truck's weight. It's a little ungainly to drive. I mean, honestly, if you are terrible at driving and you can't drive big cars, I would not want you driving this. I would not want my sister driving this truck. She would probably hit something, she'd hit everybody, she'd kill somebody, a pedestrian or something, because you can't see, really, if you're short. But one thing about driving a big truck is you do have a very good view. You have huge tow mirrors on this one with a blind spot mirror. This one particularly, for some reason, has the blind spot option delete. It gives you the tow mirrors instead, which honestly, the tow mirrors work just like it. It's very much easy to see out of this truck, but if you're short, you're going to have a hard time basically seeing over the dash or over the hood. Honestly, I actually think I'm the perfect height. In terms of the visibility in here, I can see everything, but it feels incredibly spacious. The seats are comfortable. It's really quiet in here, except for that nice little diesel clatter from the engine. And overall, there's a new level of refinement that these Super Duties are giving you. I mean, this is the perfect family vehicle if you guys actually need to put 4 people in here, plus the driver, and carry a bunch of crap in the bed. I did that this weekend, and I had 5 people in the car, in the truck, and I put a huge sofa on the bed, and it was just, it was a trooper. It basically went along like there was nobody in the truck. And that's the one thing about these things. They feel incredibly solid. They're so capable, and the capabilities of these trucks really exceed what most people are going to need in their everyday lives. And the 6-speed automatic transmission is the perfect partner for this engine. It has really smooth shifts quickly. It shifts up into its top gear very, very fast as well. So, I mean, it always keeps the engine in the meat of its power band, which is what you basically want in this type of vehicle, especially when you're towing and hauling big loads. Now, there's one huge negative about the Titan XD. It's definitely its insanely huge 55.5-foot turning radius. Now you can see making U-turns in a truck this ungainly is definitely no fun. You have to sit here and you have to do all these 3-point turns, and it's such a hugely long truck. You have to watch where you're looking when you're backing up, but Nissan makes it a little bit easier with the front and rear parking sensors. And if you guys get the around view monitoring system, it definitely helps when you're trying to make U-turns with an incredibly huge 55-foot turning radius. Again, this is a work truck. It's not going to really blow you away with 0 to 60 times, but in terms of a daily driver, in terms of the overall refinement, I'm pretty impressed with this 5-liter Cummins V8. It has very smooth power, refined power. It sounds good. Now, coming out to the conclusion of my review for the Titan XD, there's a couple of things I want to touch base on really quickly. Now, fuel economy, as I said earlier, is not announced or is not required for this type of vehicle because it's a heavy-duty truck. Now, according to the Trip Computer, I've been driving this truck for about a week, and I've been averaging about, let's see here, 16.9 miles to the gallon, so around 17 miles to the gallon, in mostly city driving. That's actually not bad, honestly. I took it out on the highway and I got about 18, 19 miles to the gallon. So, I mean, this truck gets pretty good gas mileage, considering how big it is. I mean, considering how much the capabilities you have, I mean, it gets decent gas mileage. Now, one thing I did notice is the truck has a very small 26-gallon tank. Now, small is a relative term because that's a huge gas tank already, especially if you're used to driving a Honda Civic. But most of its competitors offer a fuel tank that's roughly 10 gallons larger. And the Titan does not offer anything larger than 26 gallons. So I did notice the range is only about like just under 400 miles. That's definitely on the small side compared to a lot of its competitors. Another thing I also noticed, the diesel exhaust fluid in this truck. It basically has that fluid to help clean up the emissions, so it makes the vehicle emissions compliant. All the other trucks have that. It's only about an 18 quart capacity, which I'm not entirely sure exactly what the sizes of the competitors are, but I did notice the diesel exhaust fluid in my tester here. They gave it to me when it was completely full, and after about 300 so miles, it's half gone. It's probably actually going to be required to fill it up in the next like 150, 200 miles. So this is something that you're going to have to top off more often. I mean, a lot of the other competitors are designed to run through an oil change period. I imagine the Titan XD owners are going to have to fill this up maybe once or twice a month. So that's definitely interesting, depending on how often you drive this truck. That's an extra maintenance step, which you can easily get the DEF fluid, the diesel exhaust fluid, at your local Nissan dealer. And it's not particularly too expensive to do so. But regarding the pricing of this Titan XD, Nissan has priced it relatively in line with its competitors. It starts at $35,000, just over $35,000 for the gas model, and it only comes in the crew cab configuration in the 6.5-foot bed at this time. There will be a single cab and extended cab versions available for 2017. That's a different review for later on. Now, if you guys want four-wheel drive, the four-wheel drive option is about $3,000 more, and then if you want the diesel engine on top of that, it's about $5,000 more. So for a base S model with the diesel and four-wheel drive, you're looking at around $43,000, which is reasonable for a truck that's this big, that has this much capability. Now, my particular tester is the SL trim. It's one trim below the Platinum Reserve. This one starts at $55,000, and it basically comes well-equipped with standard equipment, with all standard equipment. There's no options available on this truck aside from dealer accessories. But with the SL, of course, you get the leather, you get the Rockford Fosgate sound, you get the upgraded bed goodies with the LED lighting and the toe-down straps. You have the navigation with the 7-inch display, and you have the Siri Eyes Free. I mean, really the only thing that I wish this truck had were the cooled seats. I wish it had a sunroof. I wish it had the 360-degree around-view camera system. Now, one thing the Titan is lacking compared to some of its competitors is any driver assistance tech. You can get rear cross-traffic alert and blind spot monitoring. For some reason, my tester has that option deleted, but that's the only blind spot tech you have aside from the rear-view camera or around-view monitoring. There's no lane departure warning, there's no forward collision warning, there's no lane keeping assist, there's no adaptive cruise control. I mean, that's stuff that is available on the F-150, and I believe the F-150 is the only truck that offers it at this time. So again, the full-size truck segment is definitely slowly getting on that driver assistance tech bandwagon, but for traditional truck buyers, you're not going to really care. This is basically how you're going to want this truck. Now, personally, how I would equip this truck, I would get the Pro 4X model, and I would get it with the convenience package, the Rockford Fosgate sound package, and then maybe the luxury package. When you factor that one in, I like the aesthetics of the Pro 4X. I like the off-road tires, the off-road suspension, the increased ground clearance. That's about $58,000, which honestly, this one that I'm driving is about $56,000. It's a big chunk of change, but honestly, it's a very good value. A Super Duty F250, you know, equipped, fully loaded like this, can easily top 60 grand. If you guys go for the fully loaded Platinum Reserve, that's about $60,000. Again, it's a lot of money, but for all the capabilities, it's actually a surprisingly good value. So, if you guys, with all that said, if you guys are in the market for a full-size truck like this, I can easily recommend the Titan and the Titan XD that I'm driving. I haven't driven the smaller Titan, but it is roughly about 15 inches shorter in overall length than this one. So if this is a little bit too big, a little too ungainly to drive, I highly would recommend that. My only complaints with the Titan is, you know, the slow launch of the other available cab configurations and body styles and cab and bed lengths, because that's really important for a truck buyer, and this really dated infotainment screen. I really hope Nissan replaces this soon and gives us Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, just to bring this more in line with the 21st century of trucks. I mean, they waited so long to redesign the Titan, and they forgot the tech aspect, and I really think that's just a very annoyingly huge glaring omission, but hopefully Nissan will rectify that in the coming years. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed my overview of this 2016 Nissan Titan XD equipped with the 5-liter Cummins V8. If you're in the market for a full-size truck but don't necessarily need something as large as a 3/4 ton, but a half ton is too small, I highly recommend checking out the all-new Titan XD. Thanks so much for watching, guys. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, make sure you follow me on Instagram, like us on Facebook, and as always, keep subscribed to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thanks so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.